Time has a funny way of turning the world upside down. One day, you're the one teaching the young folks how to live. And the next, they're telling you you're out of touch. This is the story of how my granddaughter, the one I helped raise, called me old-fashioned, until the day she came knocking on my door, crying for the very love she thought she'd outgrown. Her name is Alyssa. Bright eyes, wild curls, and a laugh that used to fill my whole house. When she was a little girl, she'd spend summers with me. I'd make pancakes in the morning, we'd go shell picking by the lake, and at night we'd sit on the porch swing, watching fireflies dance while I told her stories about life, love, and faith. She'd listen so close, her little hand wrapped around mine, and whisper, "Grandma, when I grow up, I want to be just like you." I'd laugh and say, "Baby, just promise me you'll keep your heart kind, and the rest will take care of itself." Those were good days, simple, sweet, and full of love. But life don't stay simple forever. When Alyssa got older, she moved to the city for college. The last time I saw her before she left, she hugged me tight and said, "Grandma, don't worry. I'll call you every week." But weeks turned into months, and months into years. The phone stopped ringing. The porch swing sat empty. Every now and then, I'd see her on social media, wearing fancy clothes, eating food I couldn't pronounce, talking about grind culture and hustle life. I didn't understand half of it, but I was proud. My baby was making it in the world. Still, I missed her voice, missed hearing her say, "I love you, Grandma." So I'd send her little texts, "Thinking of you, baby. Don't forget to eat." Most times she'd just reply, "Love you, Grandma, 2 hearts." But even that felt enough to keep me going. Then one Sunday afternoon, she showed up at my doorstep, out of the blue. She was wearing a sleek dress, high heels, and had one of those fancy phones that probably cost more than my first car. "Grandma," she said, smiling wide. I pulled her into my arms and hugged her tight. "Lord, look at you," I said, "all grown up and shining like a diamond." She laughed, but I could tell something in her eyes had changed. She looked at my little house, at my floral couch and old lace curtains, and said, "Grandma, you really still live like this?" I blinked. "Like what, baby?" She giggled, shaking her head. "It's just, old-fashioned. You don't even have Wi-Fi." I smiled softly. "No, baby. But I got peace." She rolled her eyes playfully. "Grandma, nobody lives like this anymore. You should upgrade. Maybe move closer to me in the city." I chuckled. "And do what, Alyssa? Sit in traffic all day." She laughed again, but I could feel a little wall building between us, invisible but real. The kind that comes when 2 hearts love each other, but don't quite understand one another anymore. That night, I made her favorite, cornbread, fried chicken, and collard greens. She took one bite and said, "Wow, Grandma, this tastes just like I remember. Nobody cooks like you anymore." I smiled, feeling that old warmth again. But then she added, "People don't really eat fried food now. It's bad for you." I paused. "Well, baby, a little soul food never hurt nobody if it's made with love." She just laughed, shaking her head again. "Grandma, you're stuck in the past." That stung more than I let her see. I looked at her across the table, my little girl who used to hold my hand while saying grace, now looking at me like I was a relic from another time. But I just smiled and said, "Maybe, baby. But the past raised you good." The next morning, I heard her talking loud on the phone. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but her voice carried. I told him I'm not going back to that job. "He can find someone else," she said sharply. Then quiet. Then a sigh. Then a slam. The phone hitting the table. When she came to the kitchen, I handed her a cup of coffee. "You all right, sugar?" She rolled her eyes. "Just work drama, Grandma. You wouldn't understand." I smiled. "Try me." She groaned. "It's just everything's so different now. People don't care about loyalty. It's all about money and followers. My boss fired me because I spoke up about something unfair. Now he's saying I'm too emotional." Her voice cracked a little. That strong city girl tone faded. I reached over and took her hand. "Baby, sometimes the world will test your spirit just to see if it's still soft. Don't let it turn you cold." She pulled her hand back gently and said, "You always say that kind of stuff, Grandma. But life's not that simple anymore. I nodded slowly. Maybe not, but love still works the same. She sighed, stood up, and walked away. And as I watched her go, I whispered to myself, Lord, don't let her heart harden before she learns what matters. A week passed. Alyssa went back to the city. I didn't hear from her much. Then one night, around 11 p.m., my phone rang. Her voice was shaking. Grandma, I messed up. I sat up straight. Baby, what happened? Her words tumbled out between sobs. I trusted the wrong person. My roommate kicked me out. My job won't take me back. I don't have anywhere to go. I could hear the rain through the phone. I could hear her crying, and my heart broke wide open. Baby, I said softly, come home. She sniffled. But Grandma, I said such awful things to you. I smiled through my tears. You think a few words could ever stop me from loving you? Come home, Alyssa. Right now. When she showed up, she was drenched, hair stuck to her face, mascara running down her cheeks. She looked nothing like that confident city girl I'd seen a few weeks earlier. She looked small. I wrapped her in a blanket, sat her by the fire, and made her tea with honey. She stared at the flames and whispered, Grandma, I thought I knew everything, but I don't know how to fix my life. I touched her hand. Baby, sometimes God lets us fall so we remember who's waiting to catch us. Tears rolled down her face. I called you old-fashioned. I thought I didn't need you. I smiled gently. Oh, sweetheart, every generation thinks they invented the world. But love, that's been around since the first sunrise. She leaned on my shoulder and whispered, I'm sorry, Grandma. I kissed her forehead. Ain't nothing to be sorry for. You found your way back home. That's what matters. The next morning, when Alyssa woke up, the sun was spilling across her old bedroom walls. Same pink wallpaper. Same shelf with her childhood dolls waiting patiently, untouched by time. She blinked at the light like she didn't remember what morning peace looked like. Maybe she didn't. In that quiet moment, I watched her from the doorway, blanket around her shoulders, eyes still swollen from crying. And I whispered, thank you, Lord. You brought her home. I made breakfast, eggs, biscuits, and coffee just the way she liked when she was little. When I set the plate down, she looked up with tired eyes and said, Grandma, why are you so calm? I ruined everything. I smiled softly. Baby, the world don't end just 'cause you took a wrong turn. It just means you found out that the map ain't perfect. She pushed her food around her plate. I thought I had it all figured out. Career, friends, apartment in the city. I was so busy chasing everything I forgot who I was. I poured her another cup of coffee. And who are you now, Alyssa? She paused, voice trembling. I don't know. I reached across the table and held her hand. Then that's a good place to start, 'cause now you can find out who you're really meant to be. Her lip quivered, but she nodded, whispering, maybe you were right, Grandma. Maybe I needed to slow down. I chuckled gently. Oh, baby. The world will keep spinning whether you run or rest. But your peace, that's yours to protect. Later that day, I took her out back to my little garden. The one she helped me plant when she was just 8 years old. Her tiny hands pressing seeds into the soil, saying, grow. Little flower, grow. Now it was full. Roses, herbs, tomatoes, and sunflowers that leaned toward heaven like they knew the sun personally. She looked around in awe. Grandma, you still take care of all this by yourself? I smiled. Every morning. I talked to them, too. They listen better than most folks. She laughed for the first time in days. You actually talk to your plants? Of course I do, I said. Love makes everything grow, even the quiet things. She bent down, touching a rose petal, soft and trembling with dew. And I swear I saw something shift in her, like the first crack in a frozen river. She whispered, I forgot what peace feels like. Over the next few weeks, Alyssa stayed with me. No phone calls, no city noise, just morning coffee, long talks, and the sound of the wind through the trees. I didn't lecture her, didn't say I told you so. I just let her breathe again. One afternoon, we were hanging laundry on the line, the way I've always done. She smiled and said, people don't do this anymore, Grandma. They use dryers. I winked. Well, this one's solar-powered and free. She laughed. Then her face softened. I used to think your way was slow, but maybe slow isn't bad. No, baby, I said. Slow lets you notice what's beautiful before it's gone. For a long moment, we just stood there, sunlight flickering through the sheets, the smell of soap and grass all around. And I realized maybe this was how hearts heal. Not with grand speeches or dramatic apologies, but with small, quiet moments that remind you what love feels like. A few nights later, I pulled out an old patchwork quilt from the cedar chest. Each square told a story. Pieces of dresses, shirts, and baby blankets from 3 generations of women in our family. I spread it across her lap and said, "Your great-grandmama made this with her hands. Every stitch is a memory. When I was your age," she told me, "life will tear you in pieces, but love can always sew you back together." Alyssa ran her fingers over the stitches. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "You kept all this history alive." I smiled. "That's what old-fashioned means, baby. It ain't about being stuck. It's about holding on to what matters." She looked at me, eyes shining. "I think I get it now." One morning, her phone started buzzing again. Old world calling her back, job offers, apologies, messages from friends who'd ghosted her before. She stared at the screen, unsure. Then she said softly, "Grandma, what if I go back and it all falls apart again?" I poured her a cup of tea. "Then come back home and rest again. The world's a hard teacher, but home's where you learn to heal." She smiled, tears forming. "You always know what to say." I chuckled. "That's 'cause I've fallen a lot more times than you." She hugged me tight, the kind of hug that says more than words ever could. Then she said, "When I make it back, I'll build something that lasts. Something real. Maybe I'll even move closer to you." I smiled through my tears. "You do what feels right, baby. Just don't forget where you come from." When the day came for her to leave, I packed her a little basket, cornbread, jam, and a photo of us from when she was small. As she loaded her car, she turned and said, "You know, Grandma, maybe old-fashioned love is exactly what this world needs." I laughed softly. "Oh, baby, the world's been trying to replace it for years, but it keeps coming back." She hugged me again and whispered, "I love you, Grandma." And this time, I could tell she meant it with her whole heart. A few months passed. Then one morning, I found a letter in my mailbox, written in real ink, not an email. It said, "Dear Grandma, I got a new job, this time with a company that actually cares about people. I even started a little garden on my balcony. It's not much, but it makes me smile every morning. I tell everyone here about you. About how you taught me that peace isn't old-fashioned, it's timeless. I finally understand now. Love always. Alyssa love letter." I pressed that letter to my heart and whispered, "Thank you, Lord." She found her way. That spring, Alyssa came back for Easter. But this time, she wasn't visiting out of guilt or pain. She was coming home out of love. She wore a simple sundress, hair tied back, and a piece I hadn't seen in years. "Grandma," she said, "I brought something for the garden." She handed me a packet of sunflower seeds. "For new beginnings," she said softly. Together we planted them in the earth, side by side, just like when she was little. And as we pressed the seeds into the soil, she looked at me and said, "You were right all along. The world moves too fast. But love is patient." I smiled, my eyes glistening. "And it waits, baby. Always waits. You see, maybe being old-fashioned doesn't mean being outdated. Maybe it means remembering the things that never stopped working. Kindness, patience, family, forgiveness. Because one day, even the busiest heart will slow down. And when it does, LL remember where home really is."